Well, as you know, in April of 2020, we took delivery of our very first Tesla. Of course, it was a Tesla Model Y, and it was a part of that first batch of cars. Now, since we took delivery, we have done so much in this car, and we have traveled so far. It has been such a joy to own this car, and there have been so many benefits along the way. So of course, with having a Tesla Model Y, right when it came out, there were some issues, but even more importantly, there's been a number of updates that have come to the car since we took delivery. As a matter of fact, it wasn't until late June that Tesla started implementing some changes in the Tesla Model Y that started to roll out and start to make the case for there might be an opportunity here to get a few more features that are in the current deliveries that are happening with Model Ys. In addition, with ownership over a year, there's some things that have popped up that I really wish we would have done just a little bit different. And given the way that things are right now with the used car market, it's actually turned into quite an opportunity to make some changes to our car. So after having this car for 39,000 miles, it has been such an amazing car, of course. I've already shared with you just recently the update on the car right before we sold it. And in that 39,000 miles, here's some of the things that have changed. One of the more practical things that's happened to the car that I'm actually really happy to have on the new one is those auto-dimming rear view mirrors. Now, some people hate them. I personally like them. And the reason is the height of those mirrors is right in the line of headlights on Tahoes and pickup trucks. So that really is annoying at nighttime when those are blaring in your eyes. In addition, there's also now a heated steering wheel, and my wife has been begging me for a heated steering wheel forever, so it seemed like that was one of the bigger items. Now, of course, there's some other updates like the center console. The USB is now in the glove box, which is really nice and convenient. And more recently, there's also been the removal of the radar in the front of the car. That's right, autopilot is now a vision-only system moving forward. But then we found a little nugget after taking delivery, and that was the fact that there's an 82 kilowatt hour battery pack in the new car, and there was a 78 kilowatt hour battery pack in the previous one. So whether that's going to ultimately unlock additional range or it's going to be used as additional buffer to help reduce degradation of the battery over time, either way, it's a big win. Now, honestly, the biggest reason we decided to make the change is we really needed the 7-passenger Model Y. We're going to need the ability to place one of our children, if not both, in the very back and have room for an adult to sit in the car with us. So that 7-passenger is actually going to work out really well for us. So we decided to go ahead and pull the trigger in May. We ordered the car and we took delivery in June. We actually got our delivery really quick, and I'm really excited that we got it so quick, but things happened so fast. So ultimately we decided that based on the values that we're seeing out there on the used market, we could probably get out of this car with minimal impact. So did we make money? Did we lose money? Well, I think it's time to talk about how this full transaction laid out. But before we dive into that, I do want to thank our sponsor for today, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions of people come together to take the next step in their creative journey. Some of the classes offered cover topics such as graphic design and animation, fine art, film and video, marketing. Skillshare classes include a combination of video lessons and class projects, and their classes are built to fit your schedule. So right now, I'm taking How to Take Pro Photos on Your iPhone by Dale McManus, and this course includes 23 lessons covering things from basics of setting up the shop all the way to how to optimize pano mode. So if you want to join me on this learning journey, the first 1,000 subscribers that click the link in the description will get 1 month free trial on Skillshare, so you can start exploring your creativity today, and it's risk-free. So after a month, if you decide it's not for you, no problem at all. All right, and now back to selling our Model Y. So here's the thing. We had made the decision that we were going to go ahead and make the upgrade, but the only thing left was trying to figure out how much are we going to be able to sell our car for. So there's a few things that we did right at the beginning. The first thing that we did is we submitted our car to a number of online retailers to see how much they'd offer us for the car. Here's what we got. Now keep in mind, ours is the highest mileage car of any used Model Y on the market, at least at the time we were selling it. Most cars on the high end had 20 to 24,000 miles on them, but I would say the average was less than 10,000, of course, because not everybody even had a year in their car yet. So with that, Vroom initially offered us $46,000 in May. But in June, they increased that offer by $2,000 and it's now $48,000. We tried to do the same thing with Carvana, but we just could not get an offer through the system, and long hold times made it very difficult to try to get somebody on the phone. We Buy Any Car, which is another website that I had no idea about, they offered us $48,050. And here's the kicker. How much do you think Tesla offered us? The good news is I'm finding out this isn't a unique situation that we just happened to get a bad offer, but they offered us $35,000. But not to worry, in June they upped their offer because the used market was on fire. So they bumped that up to $35,400. So thanks a bunch, Tesla, for increasing your offer and making it a substantial consideration for turning in this car. So with that, here was the plan. We planned on a worst case being $46,000, and of course that was increased to $48,000. The cheapest used long-range car on the market at that time was $55,700, but it only had 14,000 miles on it. So with those two things in consideration, we decided let's try to sell it ourselves for $52,990. So we used Car Gurus to try to sell this car, and when we went through the platform, it suggested a selling price of $55,133. So that's what we left it at. Now we left it there for a week, and after a week we lowered it to $53,900. And the reason we went that direction is, well, if the system says that's a great deal, let's just go ahead and give it a try. But after a week, I just wanted to make sure that it was a reasonable price and we could sell it. Now we did have a lot of offers and we had a lot of action on the car in that first week. So we had this car listed at $53,900 at the end of its listing. So as a recap for you, when we bought this car, we paid $52,990. Of course, we paid an extra $2,000 for the induction wheels, but when we took delivery of our new car, we swapped those wheels over. So we're not going to count that in this particular equation because I kept them. Of course, with all Teslas, you have to pay that $1,200 delivery fee and the $100 order fee. So our total was $56,290 minus the $2,000 for the wheels, leaving us at $54,290, of course, plus taxes. But we had a trade-in, and taxes are gonna vary widely depending on where you're at. So we listed it for $53,900 and ultimately sold it to a wholesaler for $53,500, meaning we sold it for $790 less than we bought it for, including all the fees from Tesla. At 39,000 miles, this car depreciated 1.5%, or something like 2 cents a mile. I have never in my life heard anything this absurd ever. Now again, I want to stress and reiterate, we have the highest mileage Model Y that was on the used market. That's not typical for what most of you probably have. So what kinds of things should you expect? Well, after we started talking about selling the car, a lot of you were reaching out and sharing your experience with what kind of offers you were getting. So one of our subscribers in particular had a June build 2020 Model Y, long range. It was white on white with inductions. So very similar car, very similar situation. None of the upgrades that have happened on the Model Y were present on his car. His offer at 11,500 miles, Tesla of course offered him $39,990. Again, thanks a lot, Tesla. Vroom offered him $53,000, but ultimately Car Buyer USA offered him $59,645. Now he bought this car for $53,990 plus the $1,200 plus the $100. So he's actually got an active offer from a wholesaler for more than he paid for this car. And that is the same experience I've been seeing everywhere on Facebook, on Twitter. It's just absurd. Now there are some factors that are happening in the used car market with inventory that's helping to boost these numbers, but the Model 3 certainly had a long run of being ridiculously high resale values. And even today, you cannot get a used Model 3 for much less than a brand new one, depending on the options you get. And that's assuming, of course, you remove any of them that have a salvage title or been in a wreck or have any kind of title issues. So what is happening here? This was a no-brainer for us. And I think that some of you are gonna find it may be worth making the upgrade yourself, especially if we ultimately find out that that bigger battery pack is gonna lend to more range or it's going to have a longer life. Plus, maybe you missed out on some of these features that you really wish you could have had. Or like us, you wish you had that white interior. Might be a good chance to make the switch, start at 0 on the odometer, and move forward. This cost us $790 plus whatever taxes we lost in that first transaction. So this was a no-brainer, and we got to reset the odometer to 0. It cost us $790 to drive 39,000 miles in a Model Y, which is absolutely absurd. It's unbelievable. So there you have it. You guys have been pestering me about how much did we sell it for? How much did we sell it for? Stop dragging this out. You now know how much we sold it for. And I am wagering that you could probably find yourself in a very similar situation, especially if you have reasonable miles on your car. Even if you have absurd miles, look how well we did. I think that this was a big win for us, and I'm very excited that we made this decision. We now have the capacity to seat 7 in the car, which gives us the flexibility that we were looking for. In addition, I was able to get the color that I wanted on the inside and the outside, and we get some of those updated features. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Of course, give it the thumbs up if you did. If you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel as we continue to post content regularly. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram @BeardedTesla. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.